Good morning from Melbourne. I thought I would get the stream started while we wait for Henna to arrive. Got 5 viewers on right now. Hi, everybody. I'm going to bring Henna into the stream now because I can see she's ready. Say hi if you're online watching. And I've got a few viewers. I'm just going to add her to the stream now. Good morning. Good evening.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. This is for anyone watching, Henna from Canadian Beauty Blog. Are you called Canadian Beauty Blog on Instagram? You're .com, aren't you?
CanadianBeauty.com on
Yeah.
Instagram. Yeah. I was
You know
late
this.
to the game on Instagram.
Okay. Did someone already have Canadian Beauty Blogs?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi,
But
Parole.
on Twitter, I was an early adopter. So I got Canadian Beauty on Twitter
Nice.
back like in 2006. Like feels forever ago.
Oh my God, that's so long ago.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
This is actually the first time you and I are on a stream. Like, we didn't do one on Instagram, did we?
No, I don't think so. No. Yeah, it is the first time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
What
What
time
time
is
is it there now? Is it 7
It's
a.m.?
7:03 a.m. I've been up for a couple of hours
Oh
already,
my
believe it or
God.
not.
A couple of hours, so you slept in a little bit.
Do you have all your perfumes close by that you want to talk about?
Yep, the ones that I want to talk about. You should ask me about my let's talk about perfume rotation. You're probably going to do another video on it, but I can share mine.
Yeah, I would like to do that. I am going to do another video. I'm going to try and do that every week, but yeah, I would love to hear yours.
Sure.
Hi, Paroli. Hi, Rudy. Lovely to see you in the stream. We've got a few people watching, but I think we should start. Yeah, so let's. What we'll do. This is for the people watching. Hannah and I have briefly discussed what we're going to talk about in the stream, but
Yeah.
we're more than happy to take questions. It's not going to be any real particular topic, but um, also, and I haven't warned you about this, Hannah, but I am going to talk. I'm going to ask you about some of the other stuff that you talk about apart from fragrances, like skincare and hair care, because I want to ask you some questions about what kind of engagement you get for those topics. But for now, let's talk about your rotation, and then we'll get onto that. And if anyone's got any questions, I'll keep an eye on the comments. Hi,
Sounds good.
Milosh.
Okay, so
Yes.
Monday was a holiday for us. So I didn't really wear much on Monday. Hi, Erin. Tuesday, though, was a work day, and I wore this beauty right here, Equipage
Oh,
Geranium, which I have been wearing on Mondays normally. I usually wear it first day of the work week, but this time it was Tuesday because Tuesday was the first day we were at work. So love that. I feel like I like to wear it more in the summer. So I've only started wearing it like once it started getting warmer. I didn't touch it in the winter really. but like, yeah, used quite a bit of it. And I was looking at this yesterday and I was like, is this really 100 ml? Like, it just feels like it's not that much, right? It's,
Do you mean because of the size of the bottle? It doesn't look like a
mhm.
hundred?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
really?
doesn't feel like 100 to me. Maybe because I'm also like I feel like I wear it quite heavily too because it does feel light. So I
Mm.
feel like I'm going through it so much and I wish I had bought a backup actually. And I don't believe in backups, but I don't know. So I do wish I had another one just in
So
case.
can I? So did you actually wear anything on the Monday?
I did. I wore Bois d'Argent, but like late in the day, and I don't really like count that, like,
All right.
because it wasn't like intentional. I feel like it was just like it was like I didn't really wear much. I had lots going on. I was actually putting stuff back in this room because this room has finally been done. So I was like not really wearing anything.
Oh, you've been renovating there, haven't you?
I had a water leak in here, and then it
Uh,
was like torn apart basically because of that. So.
okay. Equipage Geranium. That's a very good choice. I
Mhm.
love that perfume.
Mhm. And then I wore this Saffron Trou Blanc
Yeah.
by L'Artisan. So I like this. This is another one that I only pull out when it gets a little bit warmer. I actually had a dentist appointment this day. So I like was this is such a happy perfume to me. So I was really happy to be wearing it. And then I got out of my dentist appointment. I was like, oh, I smell so good. And I was so happy about that. So yeah,
What's the performance of that perfume on your skin like? Do you still smell it after, hours?
no,
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I would say like 4 hours,
Yeah.
5 maybe. Yeah. I like to wear this when I'm at home because then I can just keep respraying it.
Yeah.
And that seems to be or it's like 10 sprays in the mornings, and it's just a lot of it. So, yeah, not great performance, but I don't that doesn't bother me, that's fine.
And I get what you mean too, because that bottle is 100 ml
Yes.
as well, but it does look bigger than the Hermes. Yeah,
Yeah, and it, like, feels a little heavier too, maybe because
it's got heavy
maybe the
caps.
cap has a weight in it, so it feels heavier, and I don't think this cap has no weight, so this feels heavier than this, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it does feel like this is 100 and this is like, is this really 100?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
All right, so that was Wednesday.
that was
Do
Wednesday,
you-
and then I got this late in the day,
okay,
right? See?
free.
Yeah. And so I sprayed this on immediately because, of course, Saffron Trou Blanc had worn off already. So I sprayed this, and that was great. And then I wore it on Thursday also because I wanted to try it like fresh. And it was freezing. So Thursday was yesterday. It was so cold. And then I was smelling like a veggie garden. So I feel like I want to wear this again when it's like really hot and see
Yes,
how I feel in it when it's really, really hot. Because this is like a crisp salad. Like it's cool, right?
absolutely, and
Yeah.
and it much, and also I think it works even better when it's hotter outside or when the air is warmer.
Hmm. Why do you think that is?
I don't know because the first few times I actually smelled it, like actually wore it or smelled it on someone else. It was it was a warm day and it just projected so much and I don't know if it projected because of the warmth. I already
Mhm.
in my mind associate it with warm weather, and
Right.
that overall smell for me is I can only think of warmth like summer and warm spring
Hmm.
days, but um, that's my mental sort of association with it.
But did I hear you say one time that you don't really save things for seasons? Like you try to wear things all year round.
Yeah, but see that this is I'll explain what I mean by that. Because here in Melbourne, we've talked about the weather in
Yeah.
our respective cities. So
Literally polar opposite.
yeah, yeah. So even in summer in Melbourne, um, in the middle of summer, like the days can still start off cool enough that I can spray something that a lot of people would only wear in winter
Winter.
or autumn. So I can start the day off with something heavier, and then if it's a hot day later on, I usually wear two perfumes per
Yeah.
day, right?
Yeah.
So once that morning perfume has worn off, or I've had a shower or whatever, I'll spray on something that's more weather appropriate. So I tend to still wear my heavier perfumes right through the warmer months. What I don't tend to wear my light citruses, and sort of aquatics or
Yeah.
things that people think about as warm weather perfumes in the middle of winter, just because I
Yeah.
hardly ever feel like wearing them. So yeah, I never put perfumes away for seasons or rotate them. I try and go through my whole wardrobe all
Collection.
year round. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. So yeah, I'm gonna try this again when it is much warmer. It was just freezing. Like it was just so cold. It was so cold. And I mean, this is the thing. It was like 6 degrees this morning, which is pretty cold. And then it's 20 right now. So yeah, I'll try it again when it's warmer. But it's different. It is different. And I like that. I like that it's interesting and different. And what a time for green scents,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
There's a few good new ones coming out this year.
Yeah. And then so then later when I got home, I wore, and this one I just like to keep it in the box. I wore Fate.
Ah, beautiful.
Fate woman. Yeah. And it's a little warmer. So I like wearing this. Actually, I can wear this all year round, I think. Fate I can wear in any weather.
Mm.
And then today I wore Habanito.
Ah,
Yeah.
how do
So
you? So, tell me, how do you? Does Habanita when you wear it? It's one. See, Habanita is definitely one of those perfumes for me, that I could definitely not wear all year round. Um,
mhm.
I would find, as much as I love it, I would be too almost self conscious of wearing it when it's warmer, because I'm like it definitely. I always feel it on me, and
Mhm.
I'm always aware that someone could easily smell it on me. Do you have the same experience with it?
Yeah, I do. I can't wear I don't think I can wear it when it's too hot for
Yeah,
sure. Um, it is quite cool here most of the time.
yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like spring, fall are good times for it because it's not quite warm enough for when it's really cold. But I tried it for the first time a year ago this time of year. It was
Mm.
last June that I tried it for the first time. So I feel like May, June is like a good time for me to wear this. And I mean I've worn it before now too, but yeah, it just I don't really worry about people being able to smell it on me. Um yeah, I think it's interesting when people can smell it and then they have something to talk to me about.
Are there,
So,
has anyone ever commented on that one?
no. No, but okay, I'll share my story. So my
Okay.
story with Habanita is that this time of year, I always end my classes with teaching The Great Gatsby. And so I have this little PowerPoint where we talk about perfumes from the 1920s. And there's like a lot of kids in my class that smoke or vape. And so they love the idea of this perfume. And so then they love to smell it and like think about it and think about those times. So I don't really have like, I'm not worried about anyone smelling it. I like want them to ask me about it. And I know that they like the story behind it. Like they connect with that for whatever reason. So
Because Habanita is the perfume that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this the one that was initially created to actually? I think they used it on cigarettes.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's meant to like scent this the smoke, right? So you would
yeah,
put it on the cigarette, like I guess before you rolled it or
yes,
something.
yeah.
And then it would scent the smoke, but it still smells smoky, like by
It
itself.
does. It does.
Yeah.
And
So, um,
smoky, powdery.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it. I
I
love it.
love it too. Yep, it's a good one.
So,
So that's why this time of year, like this is what we're always talking about and smelling together. So
I want to ask you about. So, you're teaching them. Are you just doing a text study on the Great Gatsby?
The
Okay.
regular high school novel study with questions and all that stuff, context and yeah. Yeah.
I love that you're incorporating perfume into it.
Yeah. Gets me excited. It's just another way of like, we study context, but we never talk about like what would those times have smelled like. So it's kind of interesting to like tie that in
Hmm.
and say like this is what was going on at the time and women were partying and smoking and yeah, also wanted to hide that smell or disguise it in some way.
Um, it's, Rich, is tabs another word for cigarettes? I've never heard them referred to as that. Um, but speaking of that, I've noticed here. I mean, it's probably everywhere. There's a lot more people vaping instead of smoking actual cigarettes, and
Yeah.
all those vapes are basically scented. You can buy.
Mhm.
I don't even know how they work, but you
Well,
can
they're
buy.
flavored, right? The
Yeah,
juice is flavored, so you can buy,
yeah,
like, strawberry or mint chocolate chip or whatever. So, yeah.
yeah. That's
Um,
right. I think they smell better than regular cigarettes, anyway.
well, yeah, and some of them really smell like cologne, like, they kind of smell like just like boys' Axe cologne, which is really weird, and so when we smell it in the air, like, "Oh, someone is vaping here."
Cigarette. Okay.
"Oh, it's
That's.
snow. Oh, interesting."
Are there any colloquialisms in Canada for cigarettes?
No. A dart?
No.
Like,
Dart.
going
Yeah,
out for a dart. Yeah.
I think dart's used here as well. Yeah, going for
Mhm.
going for a dart. I
Yeah.
think I think Australians sometimes refer to them as fags as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I want to ask you. Have you done the whole rotation for the
Yeah.
week?
Mhm.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier, and I'm sure that most of the people who are watching the stream at the moment also know you from either Instagram or follow you on YouTube as well.
Mhm.
You mentioned, like starting on social media back in 2006. That's way before I even like discovered Instagram or YouTube for that matter. But did you start off with perfume as well as skincare and makeup or whatever, or did you start off with the makeup and skincare stuff first?
I started off yeah, I started off with makeup and skincare, but I always bought myself perfume on my birthday. So, I would always write about that, like, the story behind, what I picked and why I chose it. And so I did mention it here or there, and if I smelled something that I really enjoyed, I would write about that too. So yeah, I would sprinkle in perfume here or there.
Do you
Yeah.
do you so do you still buy yourself a perfume for your birthday?
So I stopped for a while and
Yeah.
then I did this year. Yeah, I did this year, but what did I get myself? Oh yeah, I got myself oh my gosh, what's it called? From Maria Candida
Ah,
Gentile,
yes, yes.
right? I got myself, what's it called?
Sinabre.
Yes. Yeah. So I got that and I love it. So no regrets there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I generally buy myself something for my birthday, and I can probably even remember most of the perfumes that I actually were my birthday gift to myself.
Hmm.
I still have a lot of them, but they're like, do you find it easy to remember what you bought for your birthday
Yeah. If
perfume?
I bought it for my birthday, I remember it because then I always think about that when I wear it and I feel like I save them too for as long as I can, like as long as I don't move. When I was blogging, I remember I bought Ralph Lauren Romance one year for my
Yeah,
birthday and then I bought like Blue another year. So I remember those and I don't have those anymore, but I kept them for quite a bit of time.
they for some reason I've had really good um, success, or not success, but like I've tended the ones I've bought for myself on my birthdays, I've held on to and I've really loved. So I think I make good decisions around my birthday buying.
Mhm.
Thanks, Rich. I appreciate that. Thanks, Forgo Perfumes. Rich was just doing a stream right before
I
that
saw
one
that.
started. Um, so
Rich has never smoked a cigarette. I have
that's
not either, actually.
really that's
No,
incredible
I
because
know.
I kind of just feel like almost everyone does at least
Yeah.
experiments once, but
Mhm. We're safe.
I
They
wish
say
I could
if you
say the
don't
same.
start by 18, you probably won't ever start, so
I, I'm still susceptible to having one here and there, but I'm terrible with peer pressure. Um, um, so I still want to ask you. I want to stay on the skincare stuff. Just in your experience, and I don't know if off the top of your head you know the answer to this, but what are the most common questions that you get asked by your subscribers, followers,
Mhm.
viewers about skincare?
Okay, this will be no surprise. 2 things. The first thing is for an eye cream, because people are worried about their dark circles or whatever's going on under their eyes, around their eyes, which is, I mean, kind of ironic. I don't really use an eye cream most of the time. I just, whatever's I'm putting on my skin, I just like put around my eyes and it's fine. But that's not what people want to hear. Yeah, people don't want to hear that. Or people will ask about their dark circles, and I'll say things like, try to go to sleep, like try to drink more water, but it's just so much easier to just have a cream. Like, just tell me what to buy, I'll buy it, and that should fix things. So I have no answers, and there's no new research there either. Like, the research is that most of the time it's genetic, so there's not a lot you can do. And yeah, sleep, taking care of yourself, is the best thing you can do, really. And then the second thing is like people are always like, okay, tell me what you use. Like, tell me what retinoid you use on your skin, which is the one that you're using. So those are the 2 most asked questions, I think. But
Do you
yeah.
do you tend to are you loyal to particular brands and products that work for you? Like, or do you always look for the next something better? I guess is like, or when you find
Yeah.
something that works, do you stick with it?
For retinoids, I always use prescription.
Hmm.
So I stick with that. And the more I read, the more I see that like there's really no, like nothing's been studied as much, researched as much. So I just use that. And then for everything else, Am I loyal? I feel like I am, but I'm also not opposed to trying something new. I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm loyal, but I also feel like there's not that much to choose from. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
Right? Like, is there anything new and exciting? I don't know. I haven't come across it.
Well,
No, I haven't. What
I
is that?
definitely don't know. What is
Acetretin? Is that a retinoid? Tell me about it. See, now I'm going to learn something.
There we
Tell
go.
me. I'm intrigued.
Rich is a font of information.
Yes,
All right, I'll let you type out the answer to
I
that.
know. And we'll wait for you to inform us.
Um,
Um, yeah.
so
So over the past, like I started my blog in 2006.
yeah,
Definitely eye creams is like the most asked question, hands down. So,
and I'm guessing it is because of what you said, that the fact that there isn't really anything that works, and people are still looking for stuff.
hmm yeah, like caffeine works. Caffeine is known to like, drain some of the fluid and kind of like make that area more firm. But I think the results are like so minute that in the grand scheme of things, I don't know if it's going to be life changing, you know?
So is there? I have never tried this, Henna, but people that use hemorrhoid cream on their eyes, is this actually a thing? Does it do something?
It's a thing, but it's temporary. It's like it blurs. How did you hear about this? Because this is all over TikTok right now.
Oh, really? But this is old news. This is old news to me. Like
Yeah, I guess so. I
I
guess
think
like
I
you
heard
see
about
like what yeah, you see things like repeat, right? Like trends like come back and then a new generation tries them and makes them popular.
I definitely didn't discover it by accident when I rubbed my eyes out.
Yeah. I think what they've seen is like it's temporary and it's blurring, but it's not like a long lasting effect. Like it's not a cure, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Okay.
Retinoid used in treatment of psoriasis. Oh, interesting. What I'm curious, like what, because there's different forms of retinoid. So I guess it's a form of retinoid. I haven't heard of that one. I'm guessing it's prescription. Um, cool. Interesting. Great.
I haven't tried this, Alex. That's such a masculine thing to do.
Yeah, just like use shampoo on your face, like Head and Shoulders. That's isn't that like that's like all the memes that are about men is like they just like wash their face with their shampoo and they look great and the bar is so low.
I'm afraid now that this stream is going to get derailed by
It's
hemorrhoid
like
cream.
everybody needs to tell us their skincare tips
Yeah,
and
yeah,
what they
that's a
are.
fantastic idea. And while everyone's thinking of skincare tips to give us, uh, how many bottles do you have in your perfume collection?
Oh my God. I'm embarrassed to say I have 93 only because I sold one yesterday. um, I'm always trying to reduce and then always adding things to my cart. So yes, 93. I would say I probably wear half of them.
Mhm.
Yeah, probably only wear half of them because the other half,
Really?
yeah, I think so. Like, I feel like, so last year my goal was to wear everything and review everything again, which I
Yeah,
did do.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't want to do that again this year because I just like want to wear what I love. And I feel like I want to always reduce, but then I always want to get the next new thing also. Um, yeah, I
So
would
what?
I think I only wear like 40 of them.
Okay, that's
Mhm.
like. But are you saying that you wear 40 of them, and then at some point rotate the other half, or
Oh, maybe.
have you
Yeah,
literally got bottles there that are not being sprayed?
yeah, like for example, we talked about birthday scents. One of the perfumes I bought that I have like a good memory with is Narciso Rodriguez for
Yeah.
her, right? I remember smelling it. I remember being like, "Oh my god, this smells so good." I wore it so much when I bought it. Um, but I don't wanna wear it anymore, but I also don't wanna get rid of it, you know? Like, I'll wear it once a year, but not more than that. Um, yeah. So, yeah, that's, like, one example of something I'm probably not gonna wear.
That's really interesting. I don't think
Mhm.
we've ever discussed that before, but um, in terms of your wish list,
Mhm.
I'm now curious about whether you have like a process that you've kind of developed, or like unconsciously developed over time, to decide that you're going to buy a bottle of a particular perfume. Like, do you have to finish a sample or wear it a certain amount of times? What is it for you?
I mean, I try to do that, and then I just don't follow through. Like, I tried it. I have, like, a notepad, where I've got, like, them itemized and, from 1 to 5, like, which ones I want the most, but then, some of them, I'm like, "Well, I don't wanna spend that much money on them," so then I'll just get, like, the next thing that's right? Like, for example, I know you had this on your wish list too. I'm gonna open my wish list right now. You and I both had Borneo
Yes.
1834,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was on FragranceNet not too long ago.
Really?
Well, not too long ago, like 6 months ago.
Okay.
So, right? Like in the past year, it was on there. When I first smelled it, it was on there. And when you reviewed it, it was on there also. But I didn't buy it because I was like, oh, I want to finish this sample, and like there's these other things that I want, and I didn't get it, and now it's not on FragranceNet anymore. So yeah.
Did was it in this type of bottle, or was it
Hmm.
in the bell jar?
No, it was in the Graziel bottle.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I should I now I'm thinking back, like if I didn't have any rules for myself, like would I have I just bought it, right?
Mm.
And then I would have it and I would be wearing it probably because I still like my opinion of it didn't change after I finished the sample. Um but I don't know. Hindsight is 2020, right?
I
So
Yeah, true. But
yeah.
I think, I mean, for me, like, as soon as something, so like, if I physically put something on a wish list, I'm kind of sort of in the back of my mind, just sort of looking out for it, not actively, but if I see it and I
Mhm.
know it's been on my wish list, um, then I'd buy it. And I know, I don't consider that impulse buying, because I've already decided that I want it. It's
Yeah.
a matter of when I get it. Um, all right, so I just want to.
I'm reading I'm reading these tips here.
Okay, I've
Yeah.
heard about the moisturizer in the shower as well, um,
Yeah.
and I guess I also know that if your water's too hot in the shower, that could be bad for your skin as
But
well.
also, are you gonna be miserable if it's not nice and
Yeah,
warm?
true.
So, I would just rather be warm.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's true because I feel like the fancy soaps are a little bit more drying because they do smell nice, but they're more drying.
But do you think, is that because of like, is there extra
No,
perfume?
I think
Okay,
they're just not made to be moisturizing.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I I think Rich should do a mass auction of those Balenciaga.
I would bid. I would for sure.
I would too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do it,
right.
Mitch. That's your idea, your next live stream.
Right.
I have not heard of getting back in the shower to rinse off I feel like how do you know you're only getting the excess and not also, what is actually sealing in the moisture? Also,
I'm very fascinated now that people have like unique shower routines. So I want to hear. I want to
I
hear about
also feel like your routine is incomplete if you haven't dropped some product names, like which aqueous cream are you using? Tell
where
us.
there's I can't remember. There's one in that's popular in Australia. I don't know if you get it there. It's QV. Do you get QV
Mm-mm.
products there? No. Okay. When my daughter was little, when she was a baby, she suffered a lot from eczema, so we had to do a lot of that stuff for her whenever she got bathed.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, but I've heard that this hot cold therapy is good. Believe
Mhm.
it or not, I actually experimented with having cold showers for a while, but I just couldn't keep it up as soon as the weather got cold.
How long did you do it for, though?
About a month,
That's a long time.
but it was in the middle of summer, so it was completely bearable.
Mm. But it didn't change your life in such a way that you were like, "I have to do this."
No, no.
Okay.
Uh, Detergent-free soaps. Okay. And I know this is a brand that you talk about a lot,
Yeah.
CeraVe. I think I
You
use their
guys
moisturizer.
okay, you guys get it there then.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. Look, I've just learned so much.
What is that? Like, are you getting it from, um, the chemist? Like, are you just going to Boots and, like is it Boots brand? Like, what is it? Like
Hannah wants to know the brand.
it's like and then the next time someone's traveling, I'm gonna be like, "Bring me some."
Going back to your perfume collection,
Yeah.
I know recently that you posted like pictures of brands or houses that you have a lot of. One of them was Diptyque. Is that the brand that you own the most bottles of perfume from, or is it
No.
no?
I think the most is Chanel. I
Ah,
think
okay.
Diptyque was 3. Yeah, I only own well, actually 2 because I finished Velocicos,
Ah, okay.
right? It's only 2, but I think I have the most of Chanel when I last counted because I have some Les Exclusifs and I have the number 5 Eau de Parfum and I have Allure. Yeah.
Is
Yeah, I
that
think that
and
was
is Alex right that you have like 40 bottles of Coromandel?
I wish I did. I wish I did. I feel like that's, like, my most favorite, like, I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I wish I had worn Coromandel." I wish I did, yeah. I love Coromandel. I think
Did you ever get the chance to compare the EDT with the current EDP?
no.
Okay.
Did you?
No, I haven't. But I'm based on based on the EDT Les exclusives that I have tried, and this might be a controversial opinion. I don't understand what the hype is about the EDT versus EDP thing
Yeah.
with that line. I have really liked of the ones that I've really liked, and I've smelled the EDT version. In some cases I actually prefer the EDP. Like Kia de Russie is one that I prefer the EDP. Sycamore is another one where I prefer the EDP.
Mhm.
And I think Bois des Îles is also one where I did try the EDT and I couldn't understand honestly what the fuss was about. But
Mhm.
I'm
Right. Here's the thing. I want to ask you this. You have always said, like in some of the reviews that you do, you're like, I haven't smelled sea vintage. I have no desire to like seek it out or buy a vintage bottle. But now you have like this treasure trove of little mini vintages. So
yeah, yeah.
has your like have you not has your idea changed, but like where do you stand now kind of on that?
Well, okay. So most of the vintages I have got now are of perfumes that are discontinued anyway.
Right.
So, like for instance, the ones I've been wearing that Anuj sent to me, I've really been enjoying the vintage Azzaro Poron, the Givenchy Gentleman. Um, but my understanding is that because so I've come to those in in the opposite way in that I have not tried modern
Mhm.
versions of those. So
Yeah.
now I only know the vintage versions. But at the same time, as much as I'm enjoying them, I still have no inclination to, stalk eBay to find bottles of these things.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy getting to smell vintage when I have the opportunity. But there's still been nothing I have smelled that's motivated me enough to try and find a full bottle of. Maybe the only thing I would have done was try to find a bottle of Maginoire from Lancôme.
Right. Yeah.
But luckily, fortunately for me, someone was really kind and gave me a partial bottle of a vintage, which to me
Yeah.
is definitely different to what the modern one smells like.
Mhm.
But that's really been the only perfume I've smelled that I wish I had in the vintage version. So I appreciate that vintages do it can and do smell different. But
Mhm.
if I love if I love something in a modern version, I'm satisfied with that. Like I'm not going to constantly wonder. I wonder what this is like. Like for instance, recently I got to smell an early '90s version of Chanel Egoist.
Okay.
And after wearing it a few times already, as much as I like it, I think I actually prefer my modern bottle of Egoist. But that's because that's the first one I smelled, and that's what I've attached. In some ways,
Yeah.
you attach yourself to a perfume, or the perfume imprints on you, and this is what Egoist is to me. It's not the 1990s version. So yeah, that's how I approach it. So I'm definitely not. I don't dismiss vintages like at all,
No.
like because. But at the same time, there is just so much perfume out there that I don't get bogged down into this. Vintages are better than modern, and vice versa. Like I appreciate them all. Um, like the ones, if there's any that like I would, if I find one of these perfumes that are discontinued and I absolutely fall in love with them, I'll definitely, like if I see someone selling a bottle, I might get that just to have more of it because I
Yeah.
really love it. But yeah, I'm never going to be that guy who's got constant alerts up for any particular vintage bottles that come up on eBay or Google or whatever.
Do you
Like,
have eBay alerts on for anything?
yeah, I do. I get a daily alert for used fragrances. So I do have that. But look, the Australian eBay market is pretty shit for really good quality vintage fragrances. Usually, it's people reselling their Parfum de Mali or stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, but like I said, if I ever see something that I really that I've smelled and love, then yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
I'm also never going to agree like that vintages are better than current formulations. Period. Like I don't think it's that black and white.
No.
Um, yeah, and you know what? like with I know a lot of people talk about Rich and his bottles of Balenciaga Porom, but the fact of the matter is, I've smelled Balenciaga Porom. I really liked it, but I obviously, like, am not as in love with it as Rich is. Sorry to talk about you like this, Rich, without you getting to respond. But there is nothing else that smells like Balenciaga Porom that I've ever smelled anyway. So I can understand if you love a perfume that much that you get it and like and hoard it and try and get as many bottles as you can. I totally get that.
I mean,
I
I think there's something about like having like establishing memories with that scent also. And so if you've been able to have some
Yeah,
positive associations with it, then yeah, I think I can understand, wanting to have it. I feel like sometimes tried to smell things that I used to love and I smell them again and I'm like, "Oh, it just doesn't take me back in the same way." And so it's a bit of a letdown. But if you can hold on to that, then there's nothing better than that, really.
that's exactly right. And Paroli makes an interesting point here. It definitely
Yeah.
is good for discontinued scents. If there's something that you absolutely love that you cannot buy anymore, then yeah, like you go for it. Like if you yeah, Saffron Troublon.
So
And there's a few Lartisans like that. Like I really love Zonka from Lartisan, and I had given up on finding it, a bottle of it, because it's been discontinued. And luckily, someone had a bottle that they were willing to part with. So I've got a few bottles that are actually now discontinued. Now, like if someone made like one of them is Absolute pour le Soir from Maison Franciscaine, which like I'm kind of hoarding my
mm,
last 10 mil. But with the vet, it's interesting with the vetiver example that Paroli mentions here. I've smelled vintage Guerlain vetiver in the kind of square ribbed bottles, and compared it to mine, and there is a difference. Like it smells the same, but what people like what I smelled in the vintage was that it felt heavier, had more depth. But I still do not know if that is to do. I'm sure that it's been reformulated, but also I still don't know how much of that difference has to do with age. Like
yeah.
I still think perfume does change a little bit with age.
Mhm.
I've got no scientific evidence or proof to explain that, but I think it kind of does, and I sometimes wonder how much of it is psychological. But when you get to smell things side by side, you do notice a difference. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, there we go. Keith, did you give that kidney to Rich? And here is the vintage enabler, Anuj. Hi, Anuj.
So last week there was a vintage bottle of L'Artisan, like in the older style bottles, that came up for sale on eBay, and it was like 100. I want to say it was like $100 US or like 112, something around there. And I did think about getting it, but like I'm not even close to finishing this bottle. And it sold like in a day, I'm sure it like that is so reasonably priced, sold in a day. And then the same day, someone else was selling half a bottle of Zing in this kind of bottle, and that went for $300. So I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if it's worth that much, but I mean, if you love it and you're not buying anything else, then maybe it is, right?
Do you know, here's the thing, like I don't have any backups of any of my bottles. But
Mhm.
a part of the reason for that it's not so much that, like, if there's a perfume I really love that has only just gotten discontinued, I might think about a backup. Like, I've seriously actually been considering getting a backup of Gucci Guilty Absolute, because I still see them in some stores and they're not expensive, and I believe it's been discontinued. I don't know if anyone's ever confirmed that, but at the same time, and I know I'm only 51 years of age. In the back of my mind, I think I don't know if I'm actually going to be living long enough to finish a lot of my bottles,
Mhm.
because I like it's some of my bottles I've had for like 5 6 years, and I'm not close to even emptying them yet because I've got so many.
Mhm. I think about that too. I think about that, like, I just don't wanna, like, leave someone else with all these bottles, and they're kind of like, "Ah, they're okay," you know? Like, yeah, so and I mean, I struggle with, like, wanting to look for all those, discontinued things, but then also appreciating what's new and current and living in this time also, because I think that that is also important, right? Like, supporting perfume creators today.
Yeah, absolutely,
And we
absolutely.
support them by spending money on them, right?
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Rich, if you put a link to your channel, I can put a link to your channel if you like, because I need to watch that Guerlain comparison. Um, I
yeah.
should, yeah, especially when you get, yeah, I do I do think about it because,
Were you gonna say when you get to a certain age? Is that what you're gonna say?
yeah, 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 but also, my son is 15 years old now, and he's starting to wear, um, like, he wears perfume regularly, so it's like at least one good thing that I've sort of passed on to him, instead of like overspraying himself with Lynx or Axe or whatever it's called. But I noticed that he's now moving away from the perfume that he's perfume. Like, I've given him a couple of, like, things that I've discarded, but now he's coming to my perfume cabinet and getting stuff that belongs to me, and spraying that on. So at least I think, knock on wood, if anything ever happens to me, I think that at least, the perfumes will get some use, from him. But I don't know if he'd love everything I have.
Well, he'd have good memories with them, so he could, like, have them for that.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but I
Uh,
don't it's a struggle to keep things for reference and then also, you know, move on to the next thing.
do you actually have full bottles that you keep for reference? Because I kind of am okay usually just having a decant or a sample of
Mhm.
something if I want.
Yeah, not really full bottles, definitely samples, but even those now, I'm just, like, getting rid of them. I think my memory is good enough, and if it's not, then whatever.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Mark, we've got a few Canadians watching.
Mhm, we do.
I think.
Menus
Um,
and robes and yep.
so, do you want me to show you, what I've actually got from Anuj in terms of the vintage minis here? Because there
Sure.
there
Yeah.
are a lot of them that I actually had not heard of. There's a few that I had not heard of before. Definitely, several that I have heard of. Um, this is, can you see that? This is
Dunhill,
Dunhill
yep.
edition. And I actually, a few years ago, bought a modern, version of Dunhill edition, and I had it for a while. I did a video on it. I kind of liked it, but I kind of just got bored of it. And I have to say that, most of these I haven't even tested properly yet. So I've got Dunhill Edition. I have got some of these are marketed to women as well. Nocturnes from Caron.
Oh,
Um, Kalesh.
Kailash.
Have you tried
Have you
this
tried
one?
that? I don't think I have. Not recently, at least.
I did open the bottle and have a smell of this, and it was beautiful.
Mm,
This one I'm excited about because I know a lot of people love this one, and I think maybe Jane Daly has talked about this one, and
okay.
it's Cristal Eau de
Oh, yeah.
Toilette.
Yeah.
Is it? Am I right in saying that this is discontinued now or not? Eau
I'm
de
not
Toilette?
sure.
Maybe someone can.
Yeah, I think it is actually.
Um, Laura Baggiotti, Roma.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have had a modern version of Caron's Portonom, but I'm assuming that this is an older version, mini. Actually, I'm gonna smell this because at least I'm familiar with what the modern version smells like,
Yeah.
and see. Look how cute they are.
They are so cute. Will you keep the boxes?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not throwing the boxes away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gotta keep the boxes.
Oh yeah, this is. I definitely think this is different to the modern. It feels like, in the modern version of Portonom, um, yeah, it, I feel like the modern one, the lavender, because it's basically lavender, vanilla, musk,
Mm-hmm.
and in the modern one, it feels like they're separated. Like you get a blast of lavender, then it turns into the vanilla, and then it gets musky in the dry down. And here, everything feels like really much more blended. So like you smell everything a lot more at once. And actually, this is, I have to say, based on this very first early impression, this older version of Potonom is much better than the current one.
So you have Le Troisième Homme, right?
Yes,
You have that
yes,
one. And
yeah.
did you smell the vintage of that also?
No,
You've
no,
never smelled the vintage of it.
no.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
All right. So I've got a few Givenchy. I've already talked about Givenchy Gentleman, but I've got um, Givenchy 3.
Ooh, that's a good one. I have an empty of that one
Oh,
because my
okay.
mom used to have it. And she kept the empty bottle, which I think is, I mean, now we know where we get it from, right? Because yeah, it's like going through her sewing kit and she had like a little mini, I don't remember where, I think it's in one of these drawers. She had a little empty of it that she got and she was telling me about it. She's like, "Oh, there's this Givenchy perfume that smells so good." I'm like, "Yeah, number 3, I have your empty, so don't worry, it's safe."
So it looks like Cristal is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, EDP. Because just on that point, uh, I know, maybe it's more in the US on the US market, but I had an interesting conversation like months and months ago with someone on Instagram who works for a US distributor, of perfume, and we were talking about Chanel, and like I don't know, got on the subject of the Les exclusives, that change from EDT to EDP. Um, Apparently, one big factor that contributed to that, and this might be common knowledge to everyone, but I had never thought about it was that the US market, being a huge market, they there was a few things, and they'd obviously done some sort of marketing research and so on,
Yeah.
but there's definitely a preference for eau de parfum over eau de toilette. Um,
Mhm.
like why, whether it's just because people think eau de parfum is inherently better than eau de toilette. And
More
there's also,
concentrated,
yeah, there's also
right?
a preference for, larger size bottles as opposed to smaller options. And basically, the point was that was a big factor in Chanel um, making more eau de parfum concentrations and EDT versions of everything being harder to find in the US, especially. So yeah, because I do notice, for something like Pour Monsieur EDT. I often see comments like on base notes or whatever of people saying how difficult it is to find EDT versions of some of those Chanel. So anyway, I thought that was interesting.
I mean, it makes sense. Like there's got to be an element of truth there just because look at where the trend has gone for like beast mode fragrances and like people putting a premium on how long things last and how strong they are and not just on like do they smell good, right?
Red tobacco.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a there's a plug
Yeah.
for one of my last videos. So I've got these two,
Let me
Monsieur de
see.
Givenchy. So
Yeah.
one is a eau de toilette, one's a haute concentration. So
Hmm.
I guess they're different concentrations. I have Monsieur Leonard, which I've heard a lot about but not smelled, or maybe I'm thinking of Leonard Porom as well. Uh, yeah, okay. So Nuj makes a good point.
Way higher MSRP. How much higher is it? Just out of curiosity.
Well, all the EDP, all the Chanel Les Exclusives went up in price. I'm guessing when they,
Yeah, but I mean, everything has gone up in price, right? Like
yeah,
I was looking at a bottle of Tom Ford Violet Blonde, which is now discontinued, has been discontinued for a long time. But I was reading over old posts that I had written, and it was like $80 for like a 30 ml or 50 ml. Like you can't get anything for $80 now, Like so they haven't even changed the concentration. It's always been an eau de parfum there, but now, you can't get a Tom Ford for $80. Like
that seems crazy. I've never ever seen a Tom Ford for that much.
yeah. And that was like, 10 years ago, maybe way more than 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So I don't know. Like everything's more expensive now. Perfume is more expensive in general. I remember so when I do this when I talk to the kids about like Habanita, I also take in Cuir de Russie because that's from like that same time period. And
Yeah,
I have the EDP. So I'm like, we don't know what the vintage smells like, but let's just smell this and think about that. And I remember like one of my students being like, "Oh my God, I love this. Like, where can I get it?" And I was like, it's a little hard to find. You have to go to a Chanel boutique and it's $250. And they were like, yeah, but what they were wearing, like I know this girl wears like Dior, something from Dior from the drugstore, and that's like 125 or 150. Like, so there's not that for her in her mind. If she's only going to buy one perfume a year, she can spend $250. Like it didn't really phase her. I don't
yeah,
know.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe
Interesting, right? Like,
she's probably making a lot of money from a TikTok channel or something like that.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah. She's not, but it's very interesting. Like for me, when I buy something, I'm like, okay, but I want all these things and I have to budget for all of them. But
Mm.
for the person that's only going to buy one, it's not really that out of reach because you're just going to get the one. And in a way, that's a good thing. Like, that's good that she was like, "Yeah, I'll get myself to the Chanel boutique and get this. I'm only gonna get one thing. Like, I'll get it for myself for my birthday." And that was it. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah, they seem to be going up every 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And Dior. Dior has gone up too, right? All of them.
across the whole line, or just their exclusive line?
The privés.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got a couple more. Have you heard? I've heard of La Perla.
Yes. Yeah. Nice.
Um, Ming. This one I
Oh,
have not heard
is
of
that like
before.
in a you show us the bottle for that. Is it like a jade bottle or what
Oh
is
yeah,
it?
that's
Ooh,
actually a nice bottle.
yeah. Pretty.
And I've got these last three: Molto Smolto, Enrico Coveri, and Yendi. So
Mm,
again, thanks, Manouche. This is going to be occupying me for a long time.
yeah.
Um, let's talk about clones. Do you have do you have um, do you have a view? Do you have an opinion about clones?
I
And
hate
I'm not
them.
okay. So, and I'm not specifically. All right, I'm kind of more talking about um, brands that sort of don't even try to hide that their perfumes are here.
Mhm.
Here is our version of this perfume.
I
I'll
think
tell you. Yeah,
my favorite ones are where they're like, this is Baccarat Rouge and this other thing mashed together.
okay.
That's like my favorite thing ever because it's just hilarious. Let's just give people everything in one little bottle for $20. And how can it not smell awful?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, the reason I bring this up, and I was thinking about posting something in my community on YouTube yesterday, is because I got a Facebook. I'm in a Facebook group, and it's just a local buy and sell group. And someone posted something about a Dua clone of Dior
mhm.
Fahrenheit. Okay, so and I didn't realize that that they made a clone of Fahrenheit, and you gotta look up the bottle. They have called it Celsius. Okay,
Oh,
they've
clever.
called it Celsius,
That's
and
great.
the label is basically a mercury thermometer in the sand. Like it's a picture. It's just the tackiest thing I've ever seen. But what really got me was when I uh, clicked on it and had a look at what they were actually selling. They were selling a 30 ml bottle of a Fahrenheit clone. Um, Admittedly, they said that it was an extract concentration. Um, as opposed to an EDT concentration, like the regular Fahrenheit. But a 30 ml bottle was selling for, yes, that's exactly
Mhm.
it. All right, so
Yeah.
that's um, and they're selling that 30 ml bottle for, I'm pretty sure the prices were in US dollars, for 33 US dollars. Okay,
Yeah.
which roughly works out to close to $50 Australian for a 30 ml clone. But the thing is I can actually buy like a bottle of real original Fahrenheit here in Australia for less money per mil, and it just makes me wonder why anyone would buy the clone of Fahrenheit when actual original Fahrenheit um, is available for literally cheaper per mil. I don't know.
For in their defense, or to play devil's advocate, they've said that um, they are replicating the original and not the reformulations because the reformulations are apparently so terrible that they have found the older bottles and they're giving you the vintage version. um, yeah, I mean, so my experience, I've tried quite a few. Actually, people have sent me a bunch over the years, and I've tried them, and they all smell like they all have the same base, like and it is very cheap smelling and generic, and you can't wash it off when you need to. So I think it would be great if they actually did smell like vintage, but we all know vintage perfume doesn't last that long, right? Like if anything, the performance is, in my experience, worse than the current versions, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it just is. So I guess, they definitely don't have that in common with the vintages. But yeah, I think that's why I don't like them, because once those top notes disappear, the base just is not great.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I I would I'm probably I'm probably wrong, but my my guess is that people buying Dior fragrance, and I don't want to categorize people who buy Dior fragrances, but I would be surprised if people who bought that clone actually knew what original Fahrenheit smelled like.
What vintage Fahrenheit smelled like? Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. People will say like, "Oh, I like this, but it has terrible performance. Someone tell me whether the clone is good," because they're specifically just looking for the performance, not understanding that the performance is tied to the things that make up the vintage. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's just like a different kind of perfume wearer,
yeah, absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Have you
Um,
smelled a lot of them? A lot of the clones or some of them? Have you come across any?
I actually have not smelled any of the Dua or Alexandria as the other
Yeah.
part. I've smelt a few of the Armaf clones, like
Okay.
especially the ones that do clones of um, Aventus and Green Irish
Yeah.
Tree. There's some of the Zara perfumes that like copy popular perfumes, but not those ones in particular. Like I know this sounds really snobbish of me, but they just look so tacky to me. And it's also surprising when I read the people behind them calling themselves master perfumers as well. This always
Mhm.
makes me laugh. Um, all right. Has anyone on the chat tried clones? That's what I'd like to know.
Clone-ish is lighter. I mean, there's clones from like a clone house, and then there's like, inspired by, and
Yeah,
here's our version kind of
yeah,
thing. Like, like people always talk about Tom Ford and Neroli Portofino, right? Being inspired by 4711,
yes.
right? But it's an improvement, and it's not really a clone. It's just like taking that idea. I mean, is it a clone? I don't know. I don't know. We need to ask, what does 4711 think? Like, what do
But
they
this
think?
this is and this is what marketing plays a huge part in that as
Yeah,
well, because if you market it the right way, I mean, look, a lot of people say that there's a few Roger Dove perfumes that are essentially, well, in their opinion, upgrades on some classic Guerlain perfumes, whether
sure.
whether they're whether that upgrade or modification is worth the extra price that you pay for erosion is another thing. But like, are any of them like? Do they have to be a certain amount similar or different to be called a clone, or
Yeah.
just an inspiration?
Inspirations. Yeah. Are they just inspirations?
I want to know if anyone in the chat have got any thoughts. Although,
I think maybe people, it seems like people have clones and then eventually as they like progress on their journey, you see them like getting rid of their clones or like trying to like swap them or, sell them off because they realize that they maybe don't love them as much or don't need all of them. That's always interesting. As someone, I just like to watch and observe. And then when people sell it, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see you're over it now.
I there is like there is scenarios where I can imagine. So when I first started getting into perfume in a big way, like there were actually perfumes that I'd heard about that I literally could not sample here. Like, I this is before we had much better distribution of niche and independent perfume brands in Australia. So you would hear about it online, but there's no way you could smell the original thing. But at the same time, I know here in Australia there was one or two places that had huge catalogs of clone perfumes of very
Mhm.
famous perfumes that you couldn't try the original of, and that would be one way that I would consider using a clone in that just to get an idea of what this perfume smells like. Um,
Mhm.
but like within a couple of years of that, like all of a sudden, there were a lot more brands being sold here, and then I discovered Facebook Facebook groups, and now if I really want to try something without buying a bottle, it's literally much easier just to get a decant of something because I'm not going to need a whole bottle. I only need like 5 ml of something to figure out if I really love a perfume or I want more of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's great, right? But that's also, I think, what's allowed these clone houses to expand too, right? Because I remember traveling and like walking down the street and like in New York, you would see these stalls and they would be like our interpretation of this, that, or the other. And now it's just on the internet. Like you don't have to like walk down the side street. Like it's literally at your fingertips.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Hi, Troy. You're not too late. Although I'm not sure. We haven't set a time limit on the
No.
stream, but let's see what Rich has to say. A theft, yeah,
Big brands have brought it. Yeah, I mean, and that goes back to that, if you're paying $250 for a lace exclusive and then, you know, 150 for something else, like really, where is your money going? I don't know. Yeah, it
I
sometimes I really think you get what you pay for though, right? There's no way that like for $20 or $50 you're going to get the same quality. I just don't see it.
yeah,
I mean, I
it's
say that and I bought that Zara perfume last week.
but that Zara perfume, what's that? Is that supposed to be inspired by something?
I don't think it is. Not that I can tell. And I've read some reviews of it, and no one has said that, oh, it's exactly like this, that, or the other. It's just another green perfume. It's leathery, but so it's a green leather. Um, yeah, it's called Leather Jardin or Leather Gardens, depending on where you are. But I think, they're making their money on the quantity for sure, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's interesting. I feel like a lot of the Zara perfumes have that synthetic sweetness that I can't bear, and this one doesn't. Like this one really has like galbanum in it, and it's great. It's really, really good. So
And Zara do actually use some, like, well-known perfumers for a lot of their stuff as
that's what they
well.
say. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know. Like, okay, yeah, one of their perfumers, I'm sure, is like Jerome Epinette,
yeah.
right? But like, how many perfumes like can he make? Like a year. You know, some of these perfumers have like what hundreds of perfumes that they've made a year. There's no way you're mixing something brand new. Like what? You go into a lab, mix it up, and here you go. Like that's it.
But
I don't know.
I'm convinced. I'm convinced that. Um, all right. So this is not. This isn't. This is me probably sounding like I'm trashing Jeremy's perfume. But when Alberto Marias did Office for Men,
Hmm.
and then I smelled it myself. No one can convince me in like that it's a terrible perfume. It's just a terrible perfume. Right? But like I'm not denying that Alberto Marias came up with that perfume, but I kind of think that perfumers sometimes have crap that they reserve, like they just put away for stuff like this because he probably gets approached by people who say, "How much will it cost for you to give me one of your one of your formulas?" And he's probably gone, "Here, take this one that I that didn't work for something else, and if you like it, you can take it." Like, surely that happens. I like, why wouldn't it
I
happen?
so my theory is that it's a team.
Right.
That it's some underling that, isn't getting paid very much, and he probably comes in for a couple hours and like smells each one and is like, okay, like do a little this, do a little that, and signs off on the final formula. I don't know. That's my
Yeah.
theory. I just like can't imagine like if you're an artist and mixing things like also you need to take breaks, right? So there's no way you're creating something brand new every day. I
Yeah. Oh,
just
no.
there's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
it's but like, even I think in the last video I uploaded talking about that Le Labo Lab Denim 18, uh,
mhm.
because I talked about a bit about Maurice Roussel, and how there is a bit of his signature that runs through a few of his perfumes that he's done for um,
Yeah.
different brands. So it's not surprising at all that they kind of come back to sort of accords and ingredients that they're familiar with, and they build perfumes around it, and that's why one perfume from Frederic Malle might smell a little bit like a perfume from Le Labo because it's the
Yeah.
same. I mean, and a good, like, I know, the example of, is it Pierre Bourdon that did Green Irish Tweed and Cool Water as well, and a
Yeah.
lot of people talk about how they're similar. So
I mean,
it's not
even
surprising that
even a sheep for shot. I bought this.
yeah,
This is Bertrand Duchaufour, and
yeah,
this and Traverse du Bosphore, and then sheep for Palatine, like they all seem to have a common thread that like ties them all together, which is great because they're like completely different brands, but you can see kind of where he has this idea or this thing that he likes. And then I don't know how it works. Maybe brand is like, give us a sheeper. And he's like, well, I have this one. We could like change it up and,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, um, make it fit the concept or the brief or whatever. But and they're so well done. I mean, what would be interesting is then if there was a Bertrand Duchaufour that was at Zara, and then we could see like, did he really just like give them something that was left over? Did he sign off on something else? then we would really see. I don't know. The Joe Malone's at Zara. I feel like Joe Malone is her style used to be when she owned her brand was more um organic almost, right?
Mm,
Like very like everything was herbal or very floral. And I don't know if Zara's really kept all of that. The
yeah.
names definitely, allude to those things, but not necessarily the juice
So
itself.
is there a Joe Malone line at Zara now?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a
okay.
Joe Malone line, and then Joe Malone is the nose behind Leather Jardin. But
Yes, okay.
I don't know, like, is it like, does she come up with 5 things and they're like, we picked this one? Or is it like she comes up with one thing and then they're like, great, we'll like change it and take all these expensive things out of it and make it so that we can have a million bottles of it? We don't really know how it works. Like,
Yeah. And I guess the other thing that we haven't mentioned is that if a perfumer is doing that, I guess one restriction would be the budget that they're given to create. So
yeah.
like, they might have, I've got this formula for you, but we need it to cost this much. So they replace different materials in the formula, and that's why
Mhm.
it can smell different or not. So Katie is saying she wasn't impressed with the olfactive studio shots. I haven't actually smelled. I think I might have smelled leather shot. I can't remember it though. But they're actually pretty expensive as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
But the Sheeper shot gets good reviews.
I like the Sheeper shot. It's very sweet. I would wear it more in the winter. It is quite a heavy perfume, I think. But this one was on Fragrance Net, so I didn't have to pay the full price for it, which is nice. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I can't remember now, Hannah, if on my YouTube community page I posted a question about Guerlain, Chanel, Dior, and Hermes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you
Yeah.
did you answer it? Because I
I
might
don't
get you
think I
to
did.
answer.
No.
Are
What
you,
was your
am I putting you on the spot? So
no.
if you could only own, and people in the chat can answer this as well. If you can
Yeah.
only own one bottle from the what I consider the big four, like Guerlain, Chanel, Dior, and Hermes,
Yeah.
which of them those would they?
I
Which
think I
bottle?
didn't answer because it was too hard of a question. I didn't. So, like, just one from each of them or one from, okay. Well, for Chanel, it would have to be Coromandel.
Yeah,
Guerlain, I guess L'Herbleu, although I do have Nahima on my wish list right now, but I want a bottle that matches my L'Herbleu bottle. I don't want the new bottle that they have now, just for aesthetics, purely for aesthetics. Um, and what was the other one? Chanel, Guerlain,
Chanel,
and
Dior.
Dior, Bois d'Argent, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and Hermes.
And what was the fourth one? Was there a fourth?
Hermes.
Hermes. Equipage Geranium, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
But actually, if I have to go back to Guerlain, I really want Bois d'Armenie too. But I don't have a
Oh,
bottle of it. So I don't know how I guess once I get the bottle. See, this is why I didn't answer the question because there's too many variables. Once I get the bottle, then I'll know once I have Nahima and Bois d'Armenie, then I'll have to decide which one I would keep forever.
yeah, Bois d'Armenie is nice, but I still, if I ever find one at a discounted price, I will have a bottle of Angelique Noir as well. But they're just so expensive right now. I think they're like over $500 for a bottle, and they only do it. I think they only do it in one size. Am I right in saying that
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, they
new
do.
bottles? Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So you can't even get a smaller size.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like though a lot of those perfumes in Guerlain's like exclusive line are really really gorgeous.
Really
So
good. Yeah.
Keith says Egoist, yes, Vetiver, Equipage, and Jules. Ah,
Oh,
Jules is
sounds
one that I really need to smell um, in either vintage or current because have you smelled it, Hannah?
no.
Okay. Um, and a lot, I noticed a lot of people, well, several people answering picked Le Bleu for their Guerlain as well. So it's
Mhm.
I thought that was interesting. Like it's really interesting to see what people would pick when they have to pick only the one.
How many people were like me and couldn't pick any?
Well, they were the people that didn't comment.
Maybe. Yeah, exactly. Caroline's pricing is awful.
Is it
Yeah.
is it is it is it any worse than what Chanel are
That's the
doing? Or
thing. Is it just worse for us collectors or like, people that really like to have a lot? Or is it just I don't know. Because look at Celine's line. Like Celine's they're not cheap either. They're priced up there, and that seems to be the going rate for these exclusive perfumes. But if you're only gonna get one, then maybe it's not that bad. My sister bought Night Clubbing, but
yeah,
right, she's only gonna get the one a year. So,
I've been sampling. I've been going through my Celine samples, and
mhm.
I haven't reviewed any of them. Like yesterday, I actually wore the one. It's called Reptile. Have you smelled that one?
Yeah, I have all of them.
You've
I
got
feel
samples
like
of all of them.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
feel like the only reason I didn't finish any of them is because then I'd be like, "Oh, now I have to get a bottle." Because I actually like them all.
My main thing about them is so here are my like very basic impressions of them. As I think that they all smell good, right?
Yeah,
So none of them smell bad,
yeah.
but all of them, all the ones that I've tested at least, feel like too basic or they're not complete perfumes. Like
Hmm.
for instance, yesterday I wore Reptile, and all I could think was that I really liked what I was smelling on my skin, but it felt like it was the dry down, just the dry down of another perfume.
Oh.
Because it was like a mossy leather, like a sort of kind of mossy, dirty leather. It almost felt like, have you smelled 1740 by Histoire de Parfum?
No, I don't think so. No, I haven't.
Or, like it kind of just felt like it was like Bel Ami from Hermes, for instance. It was just
Yeah.
the deep dry down of Bel Ami, and that was the perfume. So like it
Mhm.
smelled good, but it
Mhm.
didn't feel. None of the ones I've smelled from Celine have felt like complete or complex enough for me to think that they're worth getting a bottle of.
Yeah.
Maybe if they were sort of more designer pricing, like if they were,
Well, maybe also if you didn't have so much other perfume,
yeah,
right?
but
Like,
none of them were interesting enough to make me think that they needed to be in my collections.
yeah, and also none of them are bad,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct. That's correct.
Like,
Yeah.
none of them are bad. Like, I love night clubbing, but for some reason, night clubbing really reminds me of Habanita, like, it just does, and I wore them side by side also. They
Okay.
don't smell alike, but I think it's just the smokiness in night clubbing, and so I haven't gotten it, but I like it. It smells good.
All right, Troy. So yes to the Hermes, yes to the Guerlain, yes to the Chanel. I've never smelled Diorella. It's interesting. Have you smelled that, Henna?
Mhm, but not recently. I don't
Okay.
know. I feel like Dior is actually a hard one to, um pick a favorite from. Like, I like Dior Homme Intense right now also, and I don't know if I would wanna be without that. So, these are
Uh,
interesting answers, though. So
well,
2 from
only
Chanel.
one, only one Chanel, Gail. I think
Cheating.
I think you'll go for number 19. I think you'll win. And
Did,
two
Dale,
Guerlain.
did you answer on Pep's original question? Because
I don't
you,
think
it seems like you, like me, could not choose and then chose not to leave a comment.
I would have deleted it if she left that.
No, you're right.
And I know Jonathan likes, he's got a couple of Celine's, Reptile,
They're
Black
so good.
Sky.
They are actually great, but yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I love the idea of night clubbing too. Like being in a smoky club. I don't even think there are smoky clubs anymore.
well, the last time I was in a club, you could smoke in there, but like it's been so long since I've been.
And now people just vape, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
and outdoors, you can't do
And
it indoors here.
outside, yeah, there's
Uh,
no smoky clubs.
uh, okay, so
Yeah.
Catherine seems to like the Celine's as well.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm very keen on
Geeky.
getting. See, Jiki is one that's going to end up on my wish list, but like the new Jiki EDP. Um, what version have you got there, Hannah?
I don't know. I have no idea. This was sent to me. It says 1889 to 2012. So I don't even, I mean, it's obviously modern. It's not a vintage version.
Yeah.
Um, what do you like about it? Because
Well, when I was at Exance a
oh
couple of
yeah.
months ago, I got to smell. Osmotec had a stand there, and I got to smell their recreations of original formula Jiki, like amongst a bunch of other
Mm,
perfumes. Like I got to smell Fougere Royale, heaps of them, and they had the original Kir de Russie as well.
cool.
And then I found out that apparently the current, I think Alex from Perfume Temple told me that the new, I think they call it Le Légendaire version of some of the Guerlain classics like
Yeah. Yeah.
Jiki, Le Bleu, can't remember, Golden Wheat as well.
All of them. Yeah, they have all of
Yeah,
them.
apparently they are pretty close to original, or the Jiki at least is pretty close to the original smell, and I just love the combination of that sort of fougere opening, but then it gets kind of animalic and thick,
Mhm.
and it's really one that I couldn't say I've got anything similar to it in my collection.
Yeah.
Um, so Kati saying about Dior, actually Dior as a house brand slash brand, when you, it's hard not to notice that. Like I think they've kind of definitely. I don't know if I've at one point I had more Dior than anything else in my wardrobe, and now I only have like two Dior.
Oh, wow.
Because I think just because in the last 5, 10 years, like they've all this focus on flankers, and especially since Sauvage got released, like they've kind of for me dropped. Like if I had to rank those four houses brands at the moment, like I kind of almost would have Guerlain, Chanel together, then Hermes just below them, and Dior close to the bottom. That's kind of just how I view the quality of what they're putting out.
I feel like they should have. It would have been nice to see if they had kept the same creative director for like a longer amount of time. Like if Anique Minardo was still there, you know, I think things might have been different. Like just like how we see them, but as a brand, I don't feel like they've gone down in value. It seems like people still love them and want them, and they just recently discontinued a bunch and now they have a new one coming out. I don't know.
In the Privé line, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because Francis
Kirkjan.
Kurkdjian's, is it called Dior? Dior Riviera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the new one. Has anyone
Yeah.
smelled that on the chat? I
Mm.
don't even know if it's available anywhere.
I think it
Um,
is red velvet seeds. So good.
yeah.
I love the concept. I love how it smells. But
Well, and Celine's creative director is Hedy Slimane. Is that how you
yeah.
pronounce it? And they were at Dior as well. They were at Dior.
Mhm.
Okay, because there
Yeah,
was a lot of
he was.
um,
The
the
new
B
owner
bottle.
one.
It's not. No, it's not the B bottle I'm thinking of. I'll show you.
It's the inverted heart bottle, but
Yeah,
it's got this
yeah.
new white round face with like, and the inside is just like, just says the name of the perfume. So
Um,
it's a little bit more minimalist, I think.
it's that's a bad picture.
Yeah. Yeah. They have these here.
Yeah, they. I haven't seen these here in the Guerlain counters at department stores, but when they do, I probably will. I know at the moment the only way I could get that. I know Selfridges in the UK do ship to Australia, but it just like is too much to get shipped here. Um, okay, Pirelli. Yeah, I smelled the new Au Noir. If you love the old one, the original one, like the one I have, you still like this one, but it is, to my nose, it is a little bit different. Um, is that the Tonka? What's the Tonka one? What's it called?
To your snob line.
Is it no Tonka Imperial's Guerlain, isn't it?
Yeah. Which
Yeah,
is the Tonka one.
I can't think of what they call their Tonka one. Okay. I did have a question for you. Now I've forgotten. So, what I know we were talking about wish lists before. Do you do you prioritize what you have on your wish list? And you mentioned Borneo 1834,
Mm-hmm.
but do you have do you know what the next bottle is that you're going to get, or do you leave that to chance?
Do I leave it to chance? Yeah, I think I do leave it to chance a little bit because I would prefer to buy a partial bottle, to be honest, because I mean, I don't know how much I can really wear anything, right? So I
Yeah.
prefer to get a partial bottle, and I don't like overpaying for things just because they've been discontinued. So I think it's always a struggle with those two things, like prioritizing that, right? Um, I will say on my wish list that what I think I'm gonna get next is maybe the Loewe 001 man. And I
You really like
feel
that? Yeah.
I really like it. I think it's just so modern. I feel like it's just so representative of the time that we live in right now. Um, and it's not that it's like so unique and never been done before. I just think it just represents our time right now. And
Okay.
so instead of looking back and trying to get things that are harder to get, I just want to enjoy the time right now also.
You've really I can tell you that you've really influenced me at least to want to smell that one
Mhm.
as well, because I haven't tried anything from that brand. But it was interesting because we talked about this the other day, about whether, like, when you posted your video about 001, and also taught everyone how to pronounce Loewe.
Yeah.
I had a look to see what was available in Australia, but like literally, walked out onto the street, and at our bus stops and tram stops, they had the big advertising posters, and
Yeah.
the first one I saw was actually for Loewe. So they're in Australia, but whether that particular perfume is here, I need to go and look for it.
Yeah, I feel like the brand is just, like, having a moment, right? Like,
Yeah,
with their bags and their fashion and sunglasses, and that's why I feel like it's a little, like, it's just, like, so right now, and I think, we have to enjoy the right now also. Like,
yeah.
so
Just in case
yes.
people want to know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
So that's pronounced Loewe,
there we go.
correct.
Yeah.
Catherine, I think she's watching sort of in a little bit earlier, but
Mhm.
that's a good point. I mean, skincare does have definitely a use by date, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's a great thing about fragrance is that it does last such a long time.
Ah, yes, Fève
Yeah.
Délicieuse.
Oh, yeah.
See,
Tonka
I
bean.
never think about I never think about that perfume as a tonka. I know there's heaps of tonka in it, but I remember the first time I tried that. That no, I don't know what it's like now, but I must have had a decant of like an older version, and that thing was like nuclear, like lasting power and projection. But I did feel like I was wearing a dessert, like literally some kind of caramel dessert. I just found it like really sickeningly sweet for me.
Mm. I haven't smelled that one. I haven't smelled a lot of them, to be honest. I've just
Yeah.
smelled a few, but yeah, that's okay.
Gucci pour homme. That's the blue bottle, I think. The tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have you smelled that one?
Mhm. No.
Um, let's have a look. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. That's a good sort of process.
totally. That's really what I live by also.
I bet Jonathan that you're going to come home with a bottle of it.
You'll have to update us on what you
Well, you
this
have
is
you
supposed to be rose and fig, right? I think those are
you're not
it's
on. Did you go back on Instagram, Jonathan, or have you given up? Because like I can just imagine your picture now holding that Dior Riviera. Uh,
yeah.
anyone sing Tara? Sing Tara? I don't know. Is that a song? Um,
Seen or heard from Tara.
oh,
Which one?
yeah, I can totally understand that. Instagram's a mess. Um,
Okay.
well, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about that we haven't mentioned yet, Hannah?
I don't think so. What's on your wish list? You mentioned Shiki. Anything else?
Let me just bring it up because I keep my wish list on Parfumo.
Oh, right, right, right.
Yeah, but I haven't updated it for a while, so it looks like I've got 5 bottles on my wish list. So I still want Borneo 1834. I still
Mhm.
want a bottle of Sarasan
Mhm.
from Serge as well. Uh, 2 of these I've already got decants of, so I will eventually get a bottle of Le Lion and I will get a bottle of Eau de Mez.
Oh, there was, yeah.
I have Fleur de Peau from Diptyque on my wish list, which I don't talk about that much, but it is probably the one iris perfume that I really, really love. And I generally don't love iris perfumes,
Yeah.
but I think I love it because of how it's blended with the musk and the ambrette as well. It's just beautiful.
I want you to smell the Loewe because that has ambrette in it also,
Okay, okay,
but it has
because
ambrette and, like, cardamom.
yeah, all right,
Ambrette
then
is really having a moment, don't you think? It's, like,
yeah, yeah,
very trendy right now.
definitely.
Yeah.
But the other day I smelled. Now I'm not gonna be able to find it. Hang on. Um, okay, so I got this sample from Exance, and I had not smelled them before because you can't get them here. But this, can everyone read that? So
Yes.
Manos Gerakinis.
Yeah.
I think that's actually, if you look it up on Fragrantica, it's Methexis, Methexis. I
Okay.
think I think it's a Greek word. I don't know what it means. So, but this is actually a gourmand perfume, but it's so good. Like the the reason I find it really interesting is because it's got because there's a cocoa accord in it, so it's cocoa, but it's mixed with this fig note, but not fig leaf, like fig fruit, and somehow it doesn't come off my skin smelling like dessert, and it just smells really luscious and really comforting and delicious, and but not in a foodie kind of way. I'm not
Yeah.
making any sense because I'm still in the throes of lust over this perfume right now, but I'll test this a bit more and I might change my mind, but um, this is a really good one. Oh, and obviously I forgot, I'm definitely going to be getting a bottle of Gilded by Eau de Bougie or Bougie Bougie, which I've talked about as well, but they're not available yet. So that's definitely on my wish. That's probably actually going to be my next bottle because I'm waiting for them to be on sale and then I'm going to get
Mhm. Nice.
one.
I did
Hey,
not.
Michelle, lovely to see you. Yeah, so I have about 5 or 6 bottles on my wish list. So essentially, like maybe Le Lion and Eau de Hermes will wait because I have
Yeah.
decants, and they're not going to be discontinued anytime soon. But the other ones, if I happen to see any for a good price, like I'll just get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh no, we haven't done.
Next time.
Okay,
We'll do it
I
next
yeah, okay, okay. That would be an awesome video. Well, if you ever come to Australia or I come to Canada, we'll
time.
do
Yeah.
a
We'll have
live stream in
sure.
person, and you can do my
Great.
face, okay?
Yeah.
um, all right, so we're getting
Hey.
close to 2 hours, and I know it's Friday night for you, yeah?
Yep.
All right. Um, has anyone got any last minute questions? Do I need to shave? Will I need to shave if
I
we
don't think
do? No.
no. Come as you are.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can even do like a treatment for my beard or something like
Sure.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
Any last minute questions for Hannah or me? Otherwise, I'm going to start to say my long thank yous to everyone who came on to watch and commented and answered our questions and asked questions. And most of all, thank you, Hannah. It was great
Thank
to have you on.
you. This is fun.
And hopefully it won't be the last time
Yeah.
or the only time.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Thanks,
Uh,
everybody. This is some
Thank you.
interesting conversation in the chat.
All right. Thanks, Hannah.
Okay. Bye
See you,
bye.
everybody.